I just want to say thank you for taking the time out to sit down and chat with me. I suppose the first question is introduce yourselves. Who are you?
Yes, so I'm Sam.
I'm Liv.
Yeah, and we are the writers of Summee Surivival, which is like a brand new musical coming soon.
And so, what's the show about? What's the idea?
Yeah, so do you want me to start?
Yeah.
So the show is set at a music festival, so it's very like Glastonbury, Leeds and Reading. So it's set at this music festival, and it follows the journey of two groups of friends who meet whilst at the festival. And the show covers topics such as sex, drugs, drink, really taboo topics that we don't really talk about enough in the younger generation. And it touches on the whole social media thing, and how that's really affected our generation, and how we can put a post up online and everyone thinks we're living our best lives, and sometimes we're really not. So it covers different topics such as that. We always say it's very like Skins, Fresh Meat, them sort of old school TV shows about coming of age.
It's very like 2014 2016 vibes, and like the music ties in with that as well. Like it's all very much like 2010s pop indie rock, like.
Yeah. So how did you get into the musical industry? How did that come about?
We met at university, and we were both studying to be actors actually, and we went to UCLan and we both studied musical theatre. I was the year above Liv.
Yeah.
And we just sort of latched on to each other and started writing the show during lockdown. I personally, musical theatre is always something I've wanted to write. I worked as a songwriter for a few years before I went to uni. I worked for Atlantic Records and did a few songs to them and stuff. And then
I've always performed. I've always written my own music. The same with like theatre alongside that, with like Amdram and stuff like that. And obviously went to uni, and we just like everything that we did, we just vibed massively.
100%.
And then we ended up in lockdown together, and we were like, let's just. At first, it was just kind of like, let's write a song and see what happens, and it all just kind of like folded together.
So I had an idea to write a musical, nothing to do with Summee Surivival. And then I think I started writing the show, and after about a day, I realised I can't do this by myself, and because it's such a task writing a brand new musical, especially a book musical, 2.5 hour music and book. And then obviously I knew how good Liv was at writing songs, and I thought maybe we should, see what happens. And then the first track, which is actually the one we released in January, we wrote that in about a day. We just banged it out. We sort of knew exactly the direction the show was going to go, I think, from the start.
So why the festival? What significance does that have for you? Why did you decide to write about a group of young people going to the festival?
Yeah.
I think there's a massive words are not my strong point. I can't think of the word I want to say. But like people look down on what happens at festivals, and especially like people of the age group that we're looking at. Like whole coming of age thing. A lot of people either don't really understand what goes on in young people's minds, or there's just like a lot of negativity towards it. I think there is bad aspects that we do touch upon, but we just wanted like voices from that generation to be able to say like, this is how everyone actually feels, and this is what people go through. And
we said from the start, we don't want to sort of go around anything. We want to sort of tell it, stories that actually happen with young people, people between the ages of 16 and 21, sort of thing. And not sort of, because I think musicals a lot of the time they're seen as this massive, ending, a happy ending and all that, and not necessarily. I think it's about telling a story with music, and I think at music festival there's so much music around you for a start, and so many different people coming in and out of the festival who all have their own stories. And I think festivals was a big one for us, because we both went to festivals for a few years as younger people. And me and Liv, actually, we've worked out we probably were at the same festival, Leeds Festival,
but we
didn't know each other then.
I definitely think like we brought our own like relationships with other people, and like the time that we've known each other, because we've always been surrounded by music and like going to concerts and stuff like that, and like the people that we knew and how they affected us, and we've definitely brought in a lot of our own story into it as well.
And so you said the idea started during lockdown. So what was creating a musical in lockdown like, creating a song during lockdown? How did that work for you guys?
Do you know what? put everything else to one side. I think it was great because it gives us the time to just sit and write.
We literally sit for like 12 hours and just brain splurge. So
And,
it's definitely time well used, I think.
Yeah, and I think it's when, especially when we got into like the swing of things, it was something to do. It was something to wake up and go, cool, what song are we writing today, or what scene are we writing today? And it was something to look forward to. And yeah, it just gives us the time, which, because I think without lockdown, this would have took us so much longer to write. Obviously, you know, writing's hard. You've got to have a job on the side or whatever, and you've got to do it in your spare time. So I think having that whole lockdown was really beneficial.
Yeah, definitely.
So do you have any advice for people who are looking to get into the musical industry, the sort of the creative side? What would you say to the sort of next generation of music writers?
I'd say just network, get to know as many people as possible. And I think as well, there is a bit of a stigma with this industry, and it's competitive, and that's not really the case. I think everyone in this industry is, especially since the pandemic, is so helpful.
And everyone we've met and worked with so far has been so supportive. Like I've been really shocked by it, definitely.
Yeah, just network, get like perform. Like if you're like a writer, get your music performed by different people, you know.
And just keep going. Like we've hit a lot of walls in the process, and you think like, where do we go from here? But you just have to power through, and like persistence is definitely key.
Yeah, definitely. Because I think another big thing with lockdown was a lot of the people had the same idea as us. Oh, we've got this so much time to write a show.
Yeah.
I think now, obviously, it's this first year since theatre's been open again. All these brand new musicals are coming out that were wrote in lockdown. So you know, there's a lot of new shows coming out. So it is sort of competitive, but you know, you've just got to see it as just share what you've got. And yeah, just network. Everyone's lovely.
Yeah, like you said about the people you meet at festivals and all having their own stories. Every person's got their own story. So why can't there be a million different musicals, a million different plays, movies, whatever, each telling everyone's own story? Fantastic. So going back to the show, obviously you recently released one of the songs that I was lucky enough to have a listen to, and it's available on your Instagram, I believe.
Yes.
So what was the process of putting that song together? How did that go for you?
Do you want to start?
Go on. I think, to be fair, I think as soon as we wrote the opening number, we knew that was the one we were going to release first. I think it had that sort of catchy, upbeat vibe, which people needed to hear as well, with the whole pandemic and everything. You know, it's not like a ballad, like a sad song. It's a really upbeat number. So the second we realised that was going to be the first song we'd release, we had the idea for the video probably about a year before we were actually able to make it, because we all thought the pandemic was going to be a lot shorter than it was.
Yeah.
And even cast members that we used for it, a few of them sort of were in mind from day one.
Yeah.
And the thing I loved about the video was it was such a mix of people. Like you've got people like Maya and Luke Bayer and stuff, who, you know, have been in so many shows in the West End the past few years. Yes. Then we had, you know, like Sophie and Lexi and people like that, who it was their first professional thing they'd done straight out of drama school. So I think it was great to give them an opportunity as well.
Yeah, definitely.
So were they people you already knew? Did you audition? How did those people come in to be?
So we had the grads were Sophie, Lexi, and Zach. Sophie, we actually went to, not Sophie, Lexi, we actually went to uni with. So she'd kind of been on board from day one, and we kind of wanted to stick with that. So we wanted to keep her on board. And Sam also owns a production company, and he'd been putting on shows to help like new grads and new musicals. And you met Sophie and Zach through.
Yeah, I met Sophie and Zach through basically putting concerts on in London. As I said, apart from Summee Surivival, I also produce. So when the pandemic ended, I was putting on a lot of little concerts at like Union and the other Palace and stuff, just to help graduates get back on stage. And Sophie and Zach are two people that sort of we workshop the project with, because the number we did the music video for, we actually did in a few concerts prior to the video. And it was just people we found who we thought fit the characters really well. We did a couple of read-throughs in lockdown as well, and that's how we sort of got wind of like Luke Bayer and Maya, you know, sort of have to try and a few people. They're the people that just sort of stuck with it and sort of seemed to work really well with the music. And I think as a whole as well, they were great to work with.
Yeah, they were amazing.
And like I said, is a range of different people in there. So obviously that sort of chemistry of coming together. How did that go? The group actually coming together and filming after 2 years where we were all sat at home doing that.
It was nice
What
to
was that
actually
feeling
finally
like?
be in a room of creatives.
It was
like,
really nice.
It's been a very long time since we've done something like that. So
Yeah.
it was an amazing process. All the creative side of it, like the music producer that we work with, Ben, has just been amazing from day one. And like obviously he's helped create the track and bring it to what it is now.
100%,
And the same with all the other music that we've got so far. So
Ben
it was a really good
Jones has been a
experience.
really big sort of part of making this happen. He's sort of been a music producer that's been on board since literally day one. I found out about him through another new musical, and I'd released some songs, but he's just like worked with the music so well, and literally like how it sounds is exactly how we pictured it in lockdown. So it's so amazing to finally hear it actually happening and being produced.
Oh, fantastic. So I suppose for both of you it's the same question, but why would someone want, what people get out of your new musical? Why should they listen to it, watch it, etc.?
I think for me, it's very much like there's been a lot of stories have been told in the musical theatre, and I think this is one that's very much for our generation, and the times are changing now, and it's just like, I don't know, for me it's something that I've not really heard before, and don't want to say my story is important, but the storylines that we approach are important in the modern day and age, and they're not talked about enough. And I just think we need to bring a bit of put a bit of party behind it, but it's an important story at the same time.
100%. I think there's topics covered in it that's not really, or if they have been covered in musical theatre, they've been glazed over and just mentioned, and sort of like, you know, the drug use in young people and stuff, and consent with women, and topics like this that are really, really relevant at the minute, and which is why I think this is the right time for our show. And I think people, like young people especially, are going to get a lot from it. I feel like it's a show that they'll go and watch, and they'll be in a situation, you know, a year down the line, and they're at a house party or something, and they might remember back to our show and, you know, make a slightly different decision. And like, if that happens, it's amazing.
And I think musically it's a sound that you don't really hear that much in theatre. So I'm excited.
It's very British pop rock. It's very, you know, them boy bands we used to listen to growing up, like Busted and the Vamps and stuff. And that's why I think as well, you know, the music is so relevant, as well as the stories. I think we go hand in hand.
Because we had a little conversation on Instagram about the song, and I said you obviously managed to capture like the energy of a festival through the sort of funnel of musical theatre, which is quite a concept to get your head around, but you've made that excitement, that buzz of, you know, the moment an actor walks on stage and you're stood waiting, and you know, obviously it's very impressive that you've managed to get a festival through a musical. I think that's very impressive. So how would you describe the show in one word?
One word.
It's really hard. I would say
I'm gonna go with loud.
Wild.
That's a good one.
That's a good one, isn't it?
Yeah.
So where can people find you online? Where can they stay up to date with the show?
So we're over on Instagram, which is sort of the main platform we use at the minute. So we're at Summee Surivival Musical. And then we're also over on Twitter. What's our Twitter?
I think it's Musical Survival 1, because we couldn't fit the tag.
We're
also, it's Summee Surivival Musical on TikTok as well. We're going to get some like behind the scenes stuff over on there. We have a Facebook page. It's all under the same.
Or at Summee Surivival Musical, really. But we've got a lot of exciting things coming up within like the next 3 months or so.
Amazing. And sort of big pipe dream. Where's the show? Where in your head, where dream is in the show going? Where's it going to end up?
So we do have stuff in the pipeline already for the show actually happening. We can't really say too much yet, but all I'm going to say is it's not going to be in a theatre.
Oh wow, okay, fantastic. So that's very exciting.
But
so like I said,
we just want to capture that festival feeling.
Yeah,
so it's definitely something brand new.
It's definitely something that's not been done before, which is exciting.
Oh, fantastic, amazing. Like I said at the beginning, thank you so much for taking the time out.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. And wish you all the best. And I'll be keeping an eye on. So obviously they can find you on Instagram as sort of the main place.
Yeah, definitely.
Obviously the exciting announcement that, you know, you teased a little bit here. So thank you very much. And I shall speak to you soon.
Yes, thank you so much. Have an amazing day.
See you soon.
Speak to you soon.
You too. See you soon.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
Thank you.